All right, folks, welcome. Just made a little video here about nouns and talking about plural and singular, countable and uncountable nouns. We do this in English. We have things that you can count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and things that you can't count. It's like a lot, a little, some. So we're going to talk about that right now. I got to show you a picture of some stuff. Let's have a look here. Okay, look at this. We've got this table. All right, so the question is, we had a party. Some people left some bottles on the table, and some cups, and some glasses, and lots of stuff. So let's see what we've got. We're going to talk about what there is on the table. What is there on the table? Let's have a look. What is there? Well, let's see. We've got, what is there? What is there? All right, well, let's zoom in a bit. At the bottom of the table, there is a glass of milk. There is a glass of water. There is a cup of coffee, still hot. There is an old milk bottle. Look at that, an old milk bottle. It's empty, though. And there are 2 teacups. Right? There are 2 teacups. There are 2 wine glasses. And there are 2 wine bottles. And there is 1 beer bottle. Okay, so there are 2 wine bottles. There is 1 beer bottle. There is 1 milk bottle. Let me ask you a question. How many, because we can count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many bottles are there? How many bottles are there? Now, when you have a question like are there, the answer is going to be there are. Is there? There is. Are there? There are. So there are, well, obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 bottles. All right, let me ask you again this time. I'm not going to give you any help this time. How many glasses are there? How many glasses are there? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a beer glass. Over here we have a beer glass. Okay, so how many glasses are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 glasses. There are 5 glasses. So there are some glasses. There are some bottles. How many cups are there? All right, so there are 1, 2, 3. There are 3 cups. There are 2 teacups. There is 1 coffee cup. There are 4 bottles. There is a milk bottle. There is a beer bottle. And there are 2 wine bottles. There are 4 glasses. There are 2 wine glasses. There is 1 milk glass, and there is a glass of water. Okay, now, let me ask you something. So we know that there are some bottles, there are some glasses, there are some cups. Tell me this. How much wine is there? So not how many glasses, how many cups, how many bottles. We can't count wine. Wine is like, there's a lot, there's a little. So how much wine is there? Because we can't count them. It's just quantity. How much wine is there? Well, let's see. There is some red wine in the glass. There's a little white wine in the other glass. There's some. Is there a lot? I don't know. Not a lot. Is the bottle full? No. The bottle isn't full. It's half full. Right? There is some red wine left. But white wine, there isn't a lot of white wine. There is a little white wine in the glass, and there's none in the bottle. There is no white wine. There's no white wine. There isn't any. Right? So if somebody asks you, is there any red wine? Is there any red wine? Yeah, there is some red wine. There's some red wine in the glass. There's some red wine in the bottle. Now, if somebody asks you, is there any white wine? There is a little in the glass, but there is none in the bottle. There's three ways to say it. There is none in the bottle. None. None what? There is no wine, or there's none. There is no wine. Or is there any? There isn't any. There isn't any. There isn't any wine. Is there any wine? There isn't any wine. Is there any? There isn't any. Okay. Somebody asked me, is there any beer? It's not looking good. It's not looking good. There is no beer in the glass, I'm afraid. Sorry, there isn't any. There isn't any beer in the glass. But there is a little in the bottle. It's just a little in there. Just a little. Not very much, I'm afraid. Not very much. Only a little. Let's have a look at the milk situation. Is there any milk? How much milk is there? Is there any? Well, is there any in the bottle? No, there isn't any. There is none. There is no milk. There isn't any milk. But there is some milk in the glass. There's a lot. It's full. The glass is full. It's full of milk. There is some milk in the glass, and there isn't any in the bottle. Is there any water? There's a little water. There's a glass with some water in it, but only a little. Coffee. There's a cup of coffee. There is some coffee in the cup. And there are 2 teacups. But let me ask you something. Is there any tea in the teacups? Sorry, it's getting noisy out there. So there are 2 teacups. If you ask me, are there any teacups? Yes. Yes, there are. There are 2 teacups. Now ask me, is there any tea? Well, this is a different story. Because there are 2 teacups, but one of them, there's tea. The other, there isn't any. There isn't any. So one of them, there is some. The other, there isn't any. There's no tea in this cup, but there's some in this cup. In here, there is no beer, but in the bottle, there's a little. There's a little. So, are there any cups? Yes, there are some cups. There are 2 teacups, and there is 1 coffee cup. But is there any tea? There is some tea in one of the cups. In the other cup, there isn't any. What about coffee? There is a coffee cup. There is also coffee in the cup. There is some coffee. Not much, but there's enough for 1 person. So there's some coffee in the cup. Is there any milk? There isn't any milk in the bottle, but there is some in the glass. What is the wine situation? That's what everybody wants to know. Is there any wine? Not very much. I mean, there's a lot of red wine. I mean, there's a glass of red wine, so there's some in the glass, but there's a half bottle of red wine, but there isn't any white wine. There's none. There is no white wine. Well, in the bottle, there is no white wine, But in the glass, there's a little. There's a little. Are there any wine glasses? Are there any wine glasses? Yes. There are 2 wine glasses. There is a white wine glass and there is a red wine glass. But is there any wine? There's a little. There's a little wine in the white wine glass, and there's a lot of wine, a lot of red wine in the other glass. The red wine glass is full, and the bottle is half full. The white wine bottle is empty. There isn't any white wine, but there's a little beer. If you like beer, there's only a little. There's a little in the bottle, but there isn't any in the glass. You ask me, are there any bottles? Yes, there are 4 bottles. There are 4 bottles. There are 2 wine bottles. There is 1 beer bottle, and there is 1 milk bottle. Now you ask me, is there any soda? Is there any soda? No, there isn't any. No, there's no soda. No, there is no soda. We have none. There is none. There isn't any soda. There's no soda. There's no bottle of soda, and there's no soda. There is nothing. No soda. There is no Pepsi. There is no Sprite. There is no root beer. There is some red wine. There's a very little white wine. There's a little beer. There's a glass of milk, but there isn't any in the bottle. If you're thirsty, there's a little water. There's a cup of coffee, and there's a cup of tea, but there's only 1 cup of tea. There are 2 teacups, but there is only 1 cup of tea. So that's it. Oh, and what is this? That is called a cork. There's a cork. There we go. So that's it, folks. There are some, any, a little, a lot. There isn't a lot of anything. Some things are countable. Bottles are countable. Are there? Are there any? How many are there? There are 2. There is 1. But with liquid, uncountable. How much? Well, there's a little, there's a lot, there's some. How much is there? How many are there? How much is there? That's it, folks. That's your review for some, any, much, many.